So recently, overall, there's been some pullback in the Pokemon market. Things are still strong, but definitely within the past month, a lot of things have not gone as crazy as they were going a few months ago. We've seen a lot of card prices go down for sealed stuff. Not really much has gone down. If anything, a lot of products have just been stagnant. Some stuff has gone down, but some have actually gone up. But just generally, overall, the Pokemon market is cooling off a little bit. And one set that I wanted to talk about since this market has been sort of cooling off is 151, and now possibly could be a good time to buy some of these 151 products, maybe some even cards, at this current time when we are experiencing some pullback in this market. So when you think about the Scarlet and Violet era, I think there's a few sets that really come into mind for people. The first one being, I think, 151. If you think about Scarlet and Violet, I feel like for most people, immediately you think of 151. Now, 151, the reason why, just it's such a, I don't know, memorable set from the Scarlet and Violet era. First, its name, right? 151, it's first gen. But just this set brought a lot of people back into Scarlet and Violet era. 6 months ago, this really had extreme amounts of just popularity. We can even just see from this chart here, look at where this growth was. It's crazy. Just the past 6 months, really things have gone up for 151. But yeah, this just brought a lot of people back, a lot of nostalgia with the first gen stuff. So I think this is probably going to be, even with Prismatic, which is the next I'm going to talk about as being the other most memorable set. I think 151 will always have a special place for some people because of that nostalgia. But then the next set, I mentioned Prismatic Evolutions. I think Prismatic Evolutions, it has a lot of stuff of why it's nostalgic. It's going to be, I guess really memorable and nostalgic, but maybe not as much as 151. But it's the craziness, right? Prismatic, all the scalping, all the crazy people, fighting over stuff, and just I guess, availability of it where you couldn't find it. I feel like all that stuff with Prismatic and obviously all the other stuff it has in the set, the value, I think that's also going to be a really memorable set in the future. But 151 is definitely, in my opinion, going to be the one set that people really, remember from this era. So with that being said, this being like the most memorable set and nostalgic set from Scarlet and Violet, I feel like now that we're experiencing some pullback, could possibly be a good time to buy some of these products if you already haven't bought them. Now, I think at this point, a lot of people that wanted to invest or buy 151 have probably done so, but obviously there's always people coming into the space every single day, new people, and if you're just coming into the space, I feel like now could be a good opportunity to buy some of these products right now. It's honestly pretty hard though to recommend to buy some of these because they are just so expensive, but there's one specific product that I wanted to talk about and that I'll mention here that I really think right now could be a decent buy if you, I guess, depending on how you take the situation of 151, because 151 can still technically get reprinted. All the stuff we're seeing here for 151, they can get reprinted, and that's always a possibility you got to leave open. So even though right now, like I'm, making this video, it might seem like a good time to buy, it could be possible that these products get reprinted. How likely is it? That's another conversation, right? So buying right now, 151, if you're buying any of these things, there is that chance of a reprint. So you got to know that. So it's possible I make this video and maybe a few months down the road or whatever, we get a reprint of 151 and then all of this doesn't make any sense because we get that reprint. But so far, we really don't have any reprint news of anything of 151. So I'm just basing this video off the fact that there are no reprints coming and what would be the best stuff to buy, just in my opinion right now, since we are facing this sort of pullback in the market. So the first thing, or the first product, the main product, are the ETBs. Now, this is an interesting situation because, we have recently gotten this Prismatic Evolutions reprint, right? That's going to be coming here in like a month. 151 really never saw any sort of crazy reprint. I just remember them showing up at Costco's. I'm pretty sure I've heard some people say they got reprinted really early on, but there was no recent reprints of 151 ETBs when prices have skyrocketed all the way to what they're at now at above $200. There's been no reprints, right? They've reprinted other products, but not the ETBs, which is really strange. And now since recently they have reprinted the Prismatic ETBs, or reprint, right, in quotations, because who knows if it's really a reprint or not. It could come into conversation of maybe they will reprint this, but if they don't, I feel like buying this ETB at 200, even though it's 200 bucks, right? It's crazy. If they don't reprint this, I feel like buying at 200 wouldn't be the worst thing ever, right? We've seen so many other ETBs really go up in value over time, such as Hidden Fates, Shining Legends, and I feel like 151 being as nostalgic as it is, and in my opinion, it's probably better than all those other sets. 200 bucks, yes, it's a hefty price for a ETB, but if there's no reprint, 200 bucks isn't that bad. But obviously, with that prismatic news of reprints, it could be a possibility this gets reprinted, but there's no confirmation of that, and it seems unlikely. So if you are more on the side of reprints not really happening with 151 for ETBs, buying at 200 bucks, if you have nothing, I wouldn't buy large amounts, right? But I would maybe buy a few because, like I said, there's plenty of other sets that I feel like aren't as good as 151 that perform extremely well. And I think 151 being as nostalgic as it is, 200 bucks, it is expensive and it's still in print, so I understand it's pretty expensive. It's really hard to say to invest, but if there are no incoming reprints, 200 bucks in a few years, I don't think is going to be seen to be that bad. So that's just my opinion on the ETBs. It's a little bit of a strange situation because we have that prismatic news, but it's hasn't been reprinted really since it's gotten really expensive. So who knows if they reprint it or not. The next here, PC ETBs. Now this is a really hard one to say because this is the most expensive PC ETB in Pokemon. This is the most expensive one. And it's really hard to say if this is a good buy or not because, like I said, this is the most expensive PC ETB in Pokemon. So you're literally buying the most expensive item or set in this product line of the PC ETBs. So it's really hard to say where this is going to go because, okay, 465 bucks for a ETB, even though it is exclusive, is pretty hefty, right? Like 465 bucks, that's more expensive than some Sword and Shield booster boxes. Like that's more expensive than Lost Origin. It's just as expensive as a Fusion Strike box. It's really hard to say where this is going to go in the future because no one knows because PC ETBs are a relatively new product, especially Scarlet and Violet with the promo cards, with the stamp ones. It's really hard to say where this is going to appreciate to. It doesn't hit a wall like at this point for a long time. Does it skyrocket? It's really hard to say. So for the 151 PC ETBs, I would say if you don't have any, I wouldn't. It's really hard to say with this product because it could go crazy in a year or two. No one knows. It's a really hard buy, but buying one, I would say definitely wouldn't be the worst idea ever. But again, for all these 151 products, just buying large amounts, it seems kind of risky because yeah, there's still are chances of some of these products getting reprinted. Obviously, the PC ETBs aren't going to get reprinted probably because that's like pretty much out of the equation, right? So this would probably be the safest buy because there's no really chance of reprint, but it's so expensive. We don't know where appreciation is going to be with this current price because it's already the most expensive one. So it's really hard to say with this product. And yeah, I just there's really not much to say because it's just so expensive. Now next here are the binder collections. Now, binder collections, I feel like, the reason why it's gotten so expensive, because there's only 4 packs in here. It's not like Prismatic where it's 5. I think the reason why this has gotten so expensive is because there's literally probably like 0 reprints, and I'm pretty sure they didn't really get restocked at retail stores when there was that phase when 151 products were getting restocked, and that's why we're seeing this price of 125 bucks for the binder collections. They at one point were a little bit higher. I believe they were like in the 140s, but they have gone down a bit. But I feel like just the functionality of the binder and just the collectability of it really does, make the price what it is because you can only get this binder from this box. So I feel like long term, it's really hard to say because the binder is already so expensive. I believe it's going for like 40 bucks. I feel like this would be more of a thing, honestly, not really as an investment, but possibly a collection because this product at this price point, there are probably better products to buy because you're only getting 4 packs near. Obviously, the binder is the main reason why this is so expensive, but this price to invest into for a collection box is really hard. Like I said, especially has 4 packs. So this would probably be the last thing I'd probably buy out of all the things I'm showing you here, just because the price is extremely high. Now next here are the UPCs. Now the UPCs, they're probably not going to get reprinted. Like let's be honest here. But buying at this price is still really high. I believe the Celebration UPCs might be around this price. It's just the same thing. It's so expensive. I don't know if this is really, I don't think this is the most expensive UPC. Possibly the Celebrations one's a little bit more expensive and maybe some other ones. But, these were so cheap not too long ago. Like if you look at the appreciation of this, is ridiculous, right? Um, but if this doesn't get reprinted long term, right, I could see this going 500 plus, like pretty easily. I mean, we have evidence of that from some Sun and Moon types of boxes, or like UPC type of things. I think there were like super premium collections, like those selling, I think probably upper 500s or even more than that. So I could see this being that expensive. So buying right now, if it obviously doesn't get reprint or anything, it's probably not that bad, but it's still really expensive. It's really hard to say with these super expensive products because you don't know how fast they're going to appreciate. And when they're already this expensive, buying right now, I mean, there's really hasn't been too much pullback with this product, but it has gone down just like a lot of these other ones. But 350 is sort of a harder buy. And if you're getting to this price point at 350, the PCETB, even though it's $100 more, might be into taken into consideration rather than buying this UPC. But it's a little bit hard to be honest, because the PCETB obviously the promos holding it up with the stamp, but this obviously has the other promos. I'm pretty sure this also has a playmat, so really hard to say. But like I said, any of these products that are mostly not likely getting reprinted, they're your safest option, even though some of these are extremely highly priced. If they don't get reprinted, they're probably not going to go much further down. Like we have been seeing some pullback, but buying right now when things are pulling back for these products would be the time to buy, even though they are already pretty expensive. So UPC, I think at 340, pretty hard buy. But same thing goes. It's not going to get reprinted most likely. It's probably going to, in a few years, it's going to keep going up. So now probably wouldn't be the worst time to buy some of these. Now next here, this is the product I really want to talk about because these have just recently shot up in price. So the booster bundles. Booster bundles have a history of getting reprinted, right? It's still possible maybe they reprint 151 booster bundles, but these have, I believe, already gotten reprinted like at least twice now. And you can see, the last sold have been like around, this one's $80, but these have been selling for around $60. And you can see now lowest listed is what? Around $70. So there's a lot of fluctuation in prices with these. So I would say booster bundles, if you can find them for around the 60s, this would probably be a pretty good buy because even when this did get reprinted, right? Like the lowest it ever really dropped was around $60. I guess right here they dropped to 50, but that was kind of a little bit before the craziness like around here. But I think these got reprinted around the last like couple months. I think GameStop had some, and there was just some small like reprint or whatever. They only really dropped to $60, and now that we're seeing, there's still large amounts of sales with these. Like that's the one thing with booster bundles, like they're very liquid. These have recently gone up, from the 60s they were at when they got reprinted all the way now to $70. So I would say booster bundles, even though they could still get reprinted, because definitely this is a high chance they get, if they are going to reprint anything, it'll probably be booster bundles. Buying at $60 seems like a kind of like a floor price for these. And if I could find any, or if you can find any at $60, I feel like that would be a pretty good buy, because at that price point it's like $10 a pack. And if you look at Prismatic, I mean Prismatic's at $80 right now, or 80 plus. So I think buying a 151 at $60 comparatively to Prismatic, obviously Prismatic's a more expensive set, but 151 at that price point, I feel like out of all the products is probably your best buy in my opinion, because like I said, all these other products, the PC ETBs, normal ETBs, the UPC, they're all very expensive and it's really hard to recommend buying at those price points. But a 151 booster bundle around $60 to me, honestly, that's not that bad, even if it does have that higher chance of getting reprinted. So that's just my opinion. I feel like out of all these, probably one of the better products to buy because of the price point. And these have really high liquidity. Look at the sales volume for this set, it's really high. So I think this is probably the best product to buy if you can buy it in around like $60. Now next here are the posters. Now this could be also kind of a sleeper buy in some ways. This is just as expensive or just as cheap as Prismatic poster collections. This is the one product from 151 that's, I guess other than the booster bundles, that are like as cheap or as expensive as Prismatic, and these have had time to age, but these, I think recently might also have gotten maybe some sort of restock or reprint based on some information from people that have distribution. Apparently poster collections or something, they have that like a distribution along with that Prismatic ETB reprint or whatever. So I don't know if these are getting reprinted again, but possibly when that reprint comes or whatever, because I've heard from people that have distribution from these channels, apparently there's also poster collections. That could be a good time to buy, because it seems like these they have 3 packs. And it's really strange that these are so cheap, but it's just the product isn't that popular. Because if you compare the price of this versus other products, like you would think this would probably be more expensive, but it's just not. And I feel like with this, incoming supply that supposedly is going to be here, based on things I've heard, buying at that time, if this goes down even further, because still $35 is super cheap, buying this product honestly long term might not be that bad because your entry point is similar to around the price per pack of the booster bundle, and also it's kind of a cool collection box. But buying these, I want to go super heavy into, to be honest, because they just overall haven't performed as well as all the other products. As you can see here, the past year comparatively, to every other product, it has not been as good. So poster collections, I feel like is a good opportunity, but it just doesn't seem like it appreciates as much as the other products. But the price point is a lot more attractive. Now, looking at 151 as a set, it's not the most expensive. It's $1,200. There's a lot of other sets that are just as expensive. A lot of regular sets, a lot of just main sets are as expensive as 151. But still, overall, we have seen though that value doesn't always matter. For cards, a lot of stuff that matters is obviously scarcity of just the sealed product, and also how just nostalgic and how sought after the set is. And 151 has basically all those things. A lot of the products have not gotten reprinted, so there's a lot of scarcity with those. We'll be seeing that with the ETBs, the normal ETBs and the UPCs and the PC ETBs are all very expensive, right? And also the cards. The cards obviously, they don't have as much value as maybe Prismatic, but they're still very sought after. Just overall, this is a nostalgic set. So even though it's not the most valuable set, it just has the nostalgia there, and I feel like the demand will always be there for 151. And if we're going to see the card prices, we have seen not extreme, but decent sized drops in the past month. The Charizard has gone all the way down from around the mid to high 200s all the way down to the low 200s. The Blastoise has gone down from around $85 to now $75, and the Venusaur has gone all the way down from 75 to just $70. So not a huge decrease. So just overall right now, 151, things haven't been really seeing any increases because obviously just overall the market has been slowing down a little bit. But this could be a good buying opportunity if you have no 151. If you want to buy some singles, if you want to buy some sealed, on the small dip, whenever who knows if things will go back up or when they're going to go back up. But I feel like if you don't have any, securing some 151 sealed product, especially in my opinion, some booster bundles if you're able to get them around $60, I feel like that could be a pretty good option right now. Because just 151 is a generational set and it will age extremely well once once the set does officially go out of the reprint window. I feel like some of these products will see some extreme gains, especially the booster bundles. I really feel like that's probably the best product to buy just based on the price points because everything is honestly so expensive for 151. But buying it right now could seem like a discount a couple years from now. But the set is just a little bit over a year and a half old now, so it's not extremely old. But like I said, once it goes out to the reprint window, I feel like things will go pretty crazy with 151. So that's all I want to say about this set. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if you guys have been buying any 151 recently. It's a pretty hard buy, I know, for some of these things, but there's definitely still opportunity if you see the long term of this set and just overall 151 being a nostalgic set. So that's all I want to say. Hope you guys enjoyed, see you in the next one.